It was others who wondered if it might not be the Virgin Mary. And soon, the rumors ran rampant that a 14-year-old girl was in contact with the Blessed Mother of Jesus.
Right from the very beginning of her visions, Bernadette was under pressure from local townspeople to identify the person she saw with the Virgin Mary. They asked her over and over again, "Did you see the Virgin Mary?"
Bernadette reported that she saw a young girl, and she described that girl as about her own age, but she consistently referred to the girl as a Quero, and I take Bernadette's report at face value, that she saw a young girl.
Father Perimal, the parish priest of Lourdes, doubted Bernadette had ever had a vision.
The parish priest was the first person to react to Bernadette in a negative way, because you have a young 14-year uneducated girl coming to say that she has seen the Mother of God in a vision. And I think any normal parish priest would be skeptical in that situation.
Sensitive to ridicule from forces critical of the Church, Father Perimal questioned Bernadette in hopes she'd confess to lying, but she refused to recant. Exasperated, the priest threw up his arms and told Bernadette to return to the grotto and ask the lady her name. "1,800 years before Bernadette Soubirous ever laid eyes on the apparition she called a Quero, a young woman named Mary, living in the town of Nazareth and engaged to be married, also received a mysterious vision. According to Scripture, the visitor was the angel Gabriel.
Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will be with child and give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High." The Gospel of Luke 1:30.
And so it was through a vision that Mary of Nazareth learned she was to become the Virgin Mother of Jesus. Today, for many Christians, she is a focus of prayer and devotion nearly matching that of her son.
For many believers, Mary is the Divine Mother to whom one appeals in times of crisis, the mother who intervenes on behalf of her children. And there is certainly a strong belief among believers that one cannot resist the call of a truly loving mother. Mom is the one that you go to have your hurts assuaged, and Mom is the one who warns you when you're doing something wrong and you'd better change, and pulls you back from the brink of disaster.
Is this the mother Bernadette met on that winter day in 1858? And if so, how did this nearly obscure woman emerge into a supernatural force able to perform miracles?
Everything began to change in the late 4th century. Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire, and large numbers of people who had previously been outside the church were suddenly brought into it. It would appear that these groups brought with them certain preferences, and one of those preferences was a preference for a mother goddess. It also appears that church leaders were willing to cater to this new constituency by providing them with a mother goddess in the form of the Virgin Mary.
While Bernadette didn't originally identify her vision as anything but a Quero, scholars wonder if she might have been inspired by earlier stories of the appearance of the Virgin Mary.
Bernadette certainly would have been aware of other apparitions. Apparitions are, in essence, a part of Catholic culture. In essence, they're like breathing. One doesn't think about them. They're there. They're a part of one's spiritual life.
The first of the great apparitions of the Virgin Mary, which occurred in France in the 19th century, occurred at Paris in 1830. It was a series of apparitions of Mary to a young woman named Catherine Labouré, who was training to be a nun in a Paris convent.
According to Catherine's testimony, the apparition asked her to have a medal minted in Mary's honor. The church obliged, and millions of the so-called miraculous medals were made and distributed.
The medal was to contain the phrase, "O Mary, conceived without sin, pray for us who have recourse to thee." Basically, it was a phrase connected with the Immaculate Conception of Mary, because during this period of time, the Church was concerned with promoting devotion to the Immaculate Conception of Mary.
Often confused with the virgin birth of Jesus, the Immaculate Conception refers to the fact that though Mary was conceived naturally, she was born free from sin.
In 1854, the Pope had declared as a doctrine of the Church the fact that Mary was conceived and born free from original sin, hence the title Immaculate Conception.
Whether Bernadette knew of the miraculous medal and its significance to Catholic doctrine is still debated. Scholars wonder if she might have seen the medal while staying with one of her mother's relatives, a devout Catholic friendly with local clergy. We will never know. What we do know is that when she emerged from her 16th apparition at the grotto, this time witnessed by many thousands, she headed straight for the home of the parish priest. She had an answer to his question. The lady had spoken and revealed her identity.
Holding out her arms, she raised her eyes to heaven and told me she was the Immaculate Conception. Letter from Bernadette, May 28, 1861.
The fact that Bernadette went to the parish priest with this message that she was the Immaculate Conception was something that he thought she would never not have known or not have understood, because he asked her, what does that mean? And she said, "I don't know, but that's all the lady said to me." And it was from that moment onwards that Père Aimable was convinced that something special was going on in the grotto.
Whatever Bernadette saw, it led to the creation of the greatest pilgrimage site in the Catholic world. If Bernadette's Subaru could return to Lourdes today, she would not recognize the small town she knew as a girl. As a result of her visions in 1858, Lourdes has become a healing shrine for millions around the world. But what of the many visionaries who came after Bernadette? Were they piously believing like her, or simply seeking attention?
For a period of a few months, Contemporary sources said virtually every child in the Pyrenees was reporting visions of the Virgin Mary.
Fraudulent imitations or divine inspiration? Discerning the truth remains a challenge to this day. In 1917, amongst the slaughter of the First World War, a vision of the Virgin appeared in the remote Portuguese town of Fatima. Recipients of the visions were 3 Portuguese shepherd children, the oldest, Lucia dos Santos, being only 10.
If they do what I will tell you, many souls will be saved and there will be peace. The war is going to end. But if they do not stop offending God, another and worse one will begin. Testimony of the Virgin Mary, as reported by Lucia dos Santos, 1917.
With those words, many believe the end of World War I and the beginning of World War II were foretold. So began the most mysterious and talked about apparition of the 20th century, Our Lady of Fatima.
Early accounts suggest that at Fatima, the Virgin Mary asked people to pray for the conversion of the world. A few years later, however, accounts began suggesting that what she had really said was pray for the conversion of Russia. To the Church, this seemed clearly that the Virgin Mary was warning the world of the dangers of a communist menace.
By the arrival of the 6th and last apparition on October 13, 1917, all of Portugal and much of Europe knew of Our Lady of Fatima. In the crowd that day, people swore the sun danced and streaked towards the earth, and some feared the end of the world. Today in Rome, the Vatican has a letter from Lucia, written in the 1940s. It reportedly contains a secret the Virgin had instructed not to be read until 1960. Was it a promise of peace or a warning of disasters yet to come? It is assumed that each pope has read the letter since its arrival, but for reasons that remain a mystery, they've chosen to keep its contents a secret. For the inhabitants of Medjugorje, a small town in the former Yugoslavia, the reported appearance of the Virgin Mary in 1981 to 6 children seemed a blessing on the eve of a horrifying civil war. As at Lourdes, the Virgin brought a message.
According to tradition, the Virgin Mary does not appear without a motive, and that motive is usually to establish a shrine where none exists, to revive devotion where devotion has fallen away, to convey a message about what people need to do with their religious lives.
Throughout the war, the Virgin is said to have appeared to the children with words of hope, as well as warning.
I am the Blessed Virgin Mary. I have come because there are many believers here. I want to be with you to convert and reconcile everyone. Those of you who wait for a sign to believe will have waited too long. Words of the Virgin Mary as reported by the 6 children of Medjugorje.
Visions of the Virgin are still claimed at Medjugorje, and visitors from around the world continue to flock to the area. Today, the Virgin Mary can appear on an office building or in a shopping mall. Though sightings of her are reported throughout the world, hers is not the only vision seen.
What you see is going to be a function of your interest and your background. So a Catholic might see in such a stimulus the Virgin Mary, but somebody else coming from a different background might see in the exact same set of lights a UFO, Bigfoot, Elvis Presley, whatever.
My personal feeling as an investigator is that mysteries should neither be fostered, as they so often are by mystery mongers, nor dismissed, as they often are by so-called debunkers, because mysteries by their very nature intrigue us and invite us to solve them. In fact, the entire history of civilization, the progress of civilization, is a series of solved mysteries. And they are going to be solved not by mystics and visions. They're going to be solved, I believe, by science and rational thinking.
We're probably dealing at two different levels. The scientific level has to have everything proved, everything has to logically follow. Whereas faith is, to a certain extent, a leap into the unknown, an acceptance of things hoped for, as an acceptance of things unseen.
The debate between science and faith goes on. From around the world, the pilgrims come. Some hope that Lord will mend their broken bodies, others their minds or spirits. In this city known for miracles, even the skeptics acknowledge a mysterious force at work.
Oui, à Lourdes, nous voyons un peu de tout, mais je peux vous dire
In Lourdes, we see all types of people and cases. I can tell you officially around 70,000 very ill, gravely ill people are staying in different medical departments or areas of the sanctuary. Independently of this number are a lot of really ill people who come on their own. Their faith is very strong.
The Medical Bureau at Lourdes has declared 2,000 cures as being of inexplicable origin. In other words, medical science could find no reason for a patient's complete and irreversible recovery. Surprisingly, perhaps, the Catholic Church has been even more wary, certifying only 65 cures as being miraculous.
The Church will take its time, yes, because it wants to be sure of its facts and it does not want to rush into anything. Again, it allows time for reflection, time for investigation, and allow all the enthusiasm of the moment to die down so that they can see what remains.
While the fact of the healings go unchallenged, there is argument over their cause.
There seems to be no doubt that people who go to Lourdes, many of them come away feeling better. Still others come away with what appear to be rather remarkable cures. And that bears looking at, because before we jump to the conclusion that this is evidence for a miracle, which certain people want to do, we have to look at the alternatives. And one is that some so-called cures are probably nothing more than misdiagnosis in the first place. So a mystery, yes. Miracle does not logically follow from that.
Spontaneous remissions, divine intervention, the debate continues.
Alors vous posez sûrement le problème de la dualité foi.
It's a duality between science and faith, a hard balance that cannot be easily explained.
Nous rassemblons uniquement dans l'esprit scientifique. Mais je laisse
In
ma
here,
croyance
I only work as a scientist on medical facts,
que comme un scientifique
but you have to live with the reality that you do see things that are incredible,
extrêmement
but real.
surprenant.
And so the question remains, do the waters of Lourdes hold the key